This episode is brought to you by Strength Portal. You need a single software platform that enables your trainers to deliver consistent, high-quality workouts, track client progress, and scale your business. The problem is you're still using pen and paper or basic spreadsheets to run your business, which leads to poor client experiences, inaccurate tracking, and prevents you from growing your business, making you feel frustrated. Strength Portal understand your challenge and have worked closely with the HIIT industry to create a software platform to manage and scale your niche business. You can integrate with MindBody, manage a standardized exercise and workout library for your team, track workouts effectively, and produce client reports at the click of a button. Strength Portal is used by multiple businesses in the high-intensity strength training community, namely Discover Strength, Smart Strength Austin, Medix Precision Fitness, and more. Starting with Strength Portal is super simple. Number 1, sign up for the best package for your business. Number 2, let Strength Portal take the load off and help onboard your business onto the platform. And number 3, start delivering consistent workout experiences and scale your business to the next level. To help support the podcast, please go to strengthportal.com/high intensity business and sign up now so you can stop feeling frustrated about your business and start to scale your business to its true potential. Go to strengthportal.com/high intensity business. Lawrence Neal here, and welcome back to High Intensity Business, the podcast where we discuss and provide you with the tools, the tactics, and strategies to grow your high-intensity training business. Would you like a presentation to help you get more clients? Go to highintensitybusiness.com/free to download a science-based, proven presentation based on the anti-aging effects of strength training to help you convert and retain more clients. You can get that over at highintensitybusiness.com/free. You'll also get a whole load more free resources as well to help you grow your business. This is episode 396, and we're focusing on SEO, driving traffic and leads to your website. SEO means search engine optimization. I'm really excited for this one. Today, I'm joined by Gert Melak. Gert is the founder of SEOleverage.com. SEO Leverage have helped many businesses, including many fitness businesses, generate millions of visitors, thousands of leads, and millions of dollars in sales, all organically, that means non-paid, through the power of SEO. Welcome, Gert. Great to be with you. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much for this intro, Lawrence. It's so great to be back. We have been in touch for a few years already, so it's really lovely to have an occasion to chat again.
Absolutely. Quick backstory then for my audience and our relationship. So some of you will know if you're a member inside HIIT Business Membership that Gert and I worked together a few years ago, right in the pandemic, actually, Gert, if I remember right. Now Gert is such a busy man, he's in such high demand that he doesn't even remember doing this. So that's how that puts his
I do remember doing it.
I'm messing. So anyway, in that membership content that we did together, you again gave a great little course there on how to implement SEO effectively to drive business. And the way I know Gert is through another community I'm part of, which is jamesschramko.com or James Schramko's membership, which is like a coaching membership for online businesses. And I want to collaborate with Gert again because you are known as probably the go-to guy in our space for search engine optimization. You've got very high caliber, lots of success, lots of great results. So I'm excited to bring you into my world of the high intensity training businesses again, so we can talk about this. So let's just start real simple, shall we? So you can start how you want, but I thought we could just start off by talking about what is SEO and go from there.
Absolutely. A great intro. Appreciate it. So SEO stands for search engine optimization, as you already said. And it's all about making sure that Google understands that you're the most relevant search result when somebody types in a search into Google. So if you type in a search, people very often recognize there is a paid ads space, which is usually on top or at the bottom, which is actually somebody paying whenever some user clicks on this search result. And then the rest of the results are called organic results. And organic means nobody pays, but Google feels, based on some criteria, that these are the results that really deserve to be there, based on the user's location, on their search intent, on what they were searching for in the past, etc. Google's understanding about the user and the situation. So Google just defines what should be there. And this is really our sweet spot in SEO, because with some strategies, techniques, tactics, we can manage to position websites in the first results, organic results. So you get the visibility, but you don't have to pay for it.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Thank you for that. Very succinct. So, why do you think this is important? Why should my audience be thinking about SEO?
Absolutely. So, two things here. First is attention equals importance. So, those who get the attention are the ones that are important for the user. So, users trying to get information about strength training, for example, they're going to make the decision based on whatever catches their attention. Right. So being in this spot, in this zoom they make into your industry, appearing there for the right search terms, etc., is going to make sure that you get the attention at the right time. Second reason why SEO is really important for this space is because it's a local industry, meaning people are going to search for a local provider. And there are interesting statistics, even Google published this: 76% of people who conduct a local search, searching a strength training in their city, for example, are going to visit the place physically within 24 hours.
Wow.
So there is a very strong relation between somebody doing a search with a local intent in their surroundings and actually moving. And this is really the tough part, right? It's not difficult to get in front of people. It's difficult to actually get them take the next step. So with a strength training business or a local boutique gym, you're in a very good situation because you're only competing with other people with a very comparable offer. Let's put it this way. You're not competing like on Instagram with the whole world trying to bring across their strength training methodologies.
Mm-hmm. So that makes a lot of sense. So smaller pool of competition. And what you're making me realize is there's a few things that are really interconnected. Like we talk about in this podcast, the importance of having your free uniques and your strategic niche as a business, because fitness there's a lot of homogeneity. Everyone's the same, right? Everyone does the same things. So if you're going to start a fitness business, you need to be different. And by being different and showing how you're different on your website, that's going to immediately obviously differentiate you. So that feeds into this process, because obviously, like you said there, it's the hardest thing is getting them to take that next step. So when they click through to your website, do you have a clear differentiators? Do you have clear call to action? And a great call to action that seems to work well for our industry is the free workout, right? We demonstrate value first, and then we ask for the sale at the end. So having maybe clear call to actions for that. Now, we're not going to be talking about that specifically today, because that's veering into market differentiation and good website design. And I've actually done a podcast with our friend and colleague Greg Merrilees some years ago on that very subject, which we'll link to. Yeah, so we've touched on that before, but obviously we're going to focus on the bit before that, right? The SEO bit. So let's talk about the how now, Gert. So how do we actually go about doing this? My listeners are thinking that's all well and good, but I've absolutely no idea where to start. Should I, if I'm operating on a shoestring budget, how can I implement this myself? And what are the key things? What's the 80-20 that I can focus on to get results from this? Mm-hmm. And if I'm, actually doing quite well as a business and I have budget for investing in this, how do I go about maybe finding a good provider or knowing where to start there? Or knowing what to look for.
Absolutely. So I think the first thing you definitely want to do, if you don't have it just yet, is create a Google Business Profile. This used to be called Google My Business. Now it's Google Business Profile. They change the name all the time. It's always the same thing. It's essentially where you can then have your clients leave reviews, give you 5 stars or 4 stars, and leave a comment, etc. Find your location on the map. This is what you want to do. This is free. You can upload images, you can upload videos, you can even upload content there, etc. And really, I encourage people to also keep this updated a little bit. There are questions and answers you can publish. There are specific products or offers, etc., opening hours. So this is like the very first step in local SEO, what we are dealing with here, where we cater to local search intents. And this is also going to make sure that Google geolocates you on the map, right? They know exactly where you physically are. And with all the data Google has about us, they know how many people are there and which hours are more people there, at which hours it's less frequented. So all these kinds of things are related to Google Business Profile. This is just free. You type in Google Business Profile into Google, sign up for a listing, and then you can just fill in a form, give yourself a category if this is a gym, if they're not sure if they have a particular category for strength training, but you definitely can put in your descriptions there. And then it would proactively encourage your clients to leave reviews for you. So when they're really like at this very high level initially, they have a few workouts and they're really motivated, this is a good moment to just ask them and say, look, would you mind sharing this on a Google review? And make this a consistent habit for two reasons. First of all, sometimes competitors might give you a negative review and you need to compensate a little bit. This just happens and it's not easy to get rid of them. It's much easier, quote unquote, easier to consistently get positive reviews. So at some point, it's all 5 stars or 4 stars, and you have 1 star. It's still 3.5 or 4, and it looks really good, and it's also believable. So you just want to make this part of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Great advice. So step 1: get a Google Business Profile, get it optimized. Fill in all the things, reviews, get reviews going, ask customers for reviews, photos, and keep up to date over time with opening hours and stuff like that. Now, quick question on this. I've had agencies try and sell me services to optimize my Google Business Profile. Now, is there value in that, or is it quite easy to do yourself? How do you feel about
that? There's always value in bringing in a professional, I believe. I mean, just imagine I read about strength training and do this myself, or I get you or someone in your community to help me. You tell me what the difference is, right? In our case, we've been doing this for 20 years. So we have seen a lot and approach things probably differently than if you do this just once and for yourself and the first time and without too much experience. I think I would probably just ask them and say, okay, what kind of things are they going to do? If they start creating fake reviews just to increase your rankings short term, it's not what you want to do, because it's so easy for Google to figure out if those reviewers actually were even close to your business, to your physical business. It's not an e-commerce site, so Google can easily know if this is real or fake. If this is just optimization on the text, etc. We usually do this as part of whatever we do with someone. We don't even charge for this extra. We just give them a few tips on how to optimize this. So it's not something I would heavily invest in.
Got it. Okay. So what's next once we've done the Google Business Profile? And then that's just simply a matter of, I'm just thinking, again, laying this down in real simple terms, go to Google and search, Google Business Profile. And it's very easy to set that up.
Absolutely easy. The second then is really looking at the website. So first of all, you have to have a website. I know sometimes in the fitness marketing space, we've been doing a lot of lead generation in this space. Sometimes we found gyms that were pretty much relying on their Facebook page or Instagram profile to do the heavy lifting to present their company. We need definitely a website. The website doesn't have to be a full-featured WordPress website, etc. We have seen even sites from like Wix and different platforms do really well, because it's a low maintenance platform. You can just pick a template, fill in a form, and pretty much have a starting site together. For the beginning, this is definitely suitable if somebody is looking into this. And then it's all about making sure that Google understands how relevant you are in this location. And this is where I think a lot of boutique gyms are not investing enough. They try to come up for all kinds of search terms. Somebody typing in strength training isn't your customer yet, but somebody typing in strength training plus neighborhood or plus your city, this is where it all starts. And people try to then benchmark themselves and say, I don't come up for boutique gym, I don't come up for strength training, I don't come up for high intensity, etc. Nobody sees me, Google isn't working. But it's really important, and this is where we help people strategically at the beginning, usually at SEO Leverage, is to pick your battles well. And say, okay, what would somebody need to type into Google to qualify as a potential client, not somebody who has never heard about strength training and wants to know more about it.
Okay, so I guess a popular one most of my listeners would love to rank well for would be like, because a lot of clients don't know that they need strength training. Actually, they know they need some sort of personal training, and when they come to the consultation, they'll quickly learn that strength training is probably the most beneficial way to achieve a lot of their goals in a lot of cases. So a lot of my listeners would love to rank well for something like, I don't know, let's say, let's pick an American city. Let's pick like Chicago. I know it's big. I don't really know any kind of sub neighborhoods in Chicago, so we'll keep it simple for now. But personal trainer Chicago or personal training Chicago, something like that. I suspect there's a lot of personal training companies in Chicago, but that's the first thing, the first example that comes to mind.
Right.
But you could just fill in the blank, replace Chicago with a much smaller town or neighborhood, and it works in the same way. So if you want to rank really well for that, I suspect, when I look at our statistics for our business here in Galway, those are the kinds of things that I see happening organically, which is a good sign. But those are kind of things you would potentially try and rank for. Like, how do you decide? I guess the question is, how do you decide on the best keywords for your business that are going to be indicative of a potential customer search?
Right. Usually at the beginning, there's what we call a keyword research, where we research a list of potential queries we want to rank for, because we know that in this location there is going to be search volume. We know this is how people search. Search volume means how many searches are going to be performed, right? If you make it too narrow, too specific, like personal trainer in suburb Chicago, 30 years old, 30 to 40 years, blah, 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 it's going to be too specific, right? So we want to keep it realistic. What is the vast majority of people going to type in? But then really make sure that they also find on the website the specific content. And this is where we try to, first of all, research how might people search. This might be personal training, might be strength training, might be boutique gym, might be training in small groups or things like those. And say, okay, what is it that somebody would type in at what we call at the bottom of the funnel? So if we have a marketing funnel, on the top is like people starting to get to know you and hear about your brand, etc. At the bottom of the funnel, much smaller amount of people really ready to take action and deciding which of the 3 boutique gyms to go to or which of the 4 personal trainers they favor to choose. This would be the bottom of funnel. And a lot of brands, and especially in the fitness industry, we see go much too broad with what they try to rank for. And they say, look, I should be ranking for whenever somebody wants to lose weight. Right, I should be ranking for if somebody is typing in healthy lifestyle.
Highly competitive.
I should be ranking for when it comes to supplements. Right, gyms trying to rank for supplements just because they sell a few. Right, and then we say, okay, what's the probabilities that somebody types in supplements and ends up going to your gym to buy them? It's just not there. And just getting your brand exposed for a completely irrelevant query also doesn't work. It just doesn't scale. Right? It doesn't add up. You might need 100,000 people coming in for supplement queries to get 1 client, whereas maybe you only need 3 people to come in to get 1 personal training client, if they come for the right reason, right? So we really want to, this is so important, and this is where we spend quite some time at the beginning, just figuring out what do we actually want to do, what do we actually think makes sense to go after, and then see, okay, what do I need on my website in order to have a legitimate chance to rank for those terms.
Awesome. So I know this is something that maybe take a little bit more forethought and analysis, but could you give the audience just a few tips on how they could identify those kind of more specific, relevant keywords? For instance, is it a case of looking at those keywords and looking at the competition, looking at the volume of searches, looking at the closeness and relevance for the search terms and your main offer? Like, how would you, if my listeners had to do this themselves, could you give us a few tips on how they could try and find the best keywords for them? Yeah,
absolutely. I would just stick with Google as an SEO agency, like an SEO Leverage. We have a lot of tools. We pay thousands of dollars a month to have tools to help us with these kinds of things. For a user that wants to do this themselves, I would just open up Google and start typing in personal trainer, your city, space bar, and then see what comes up. Google is going to give you suggestions. Every suggestion of those is a potential candidate you might want to rank for. At the bottom, if you scroll down after personal trainer, your city query, you hit enter, scroll down at the bottom, Google gives you a list of related searches. Google is also going to give you a questions and answers section. They call this the people also asked. Every question is a potential content topic you could be targeting. But I really need everybody to then take a moment, not just blindly copy and paste this into a document and start writing, but really take a second and say, is this something that's close enough to a potential decision? I don't want people to create content that might drive a client in 2 years. This should be something people are going to be interested in when they are about to search for some help, at least at the beginning. If you have covered everything from the bottom of the funnel, you can then take a step back and say, okay, now let's look at weight loss in plus city. Let's look at healthy lifestyle plus Chicago or things like those. You can go a little bit broader afterwards to drive more people in and raise more brand awareness. But initially, you really want to make sure that the resources you can dedicate, especially in the initial stages of a gym here, the resources you can dedicate, they should actually make the maximum sense. We are not looking to strengthen the brand here. And this is what I think a lot of people get wrong when they start out or are very small. They think they need to do branding work. And they are just, in my opinion, not there. Right? If you have multiple seven figures business and I don't know how many locations, probably it would be good to strengthen your brand as well and compete with Anytime Fitness and I don't know how the big chains are called maybe. So you have a name there, but that's not the game we are playing here. We are playing a game where a local gym wants to be the reference in their training methodology for the fitness goals the clients are searching for in this particular city or even only in the neighborhood. And this is where people sometimes make it hard on purpose without knowing it because they try to rank everywhere in their state, in their province, wherever it is. And you really only need to rank in that city.
Yeah, that's such great advice. So in a nutshell, be really surgical, right, with your approach, and you'll get a much better ROI on the time and resource, right, versus a branding approach, which is going to get really expensive really quick, right, in terms of just your time and resources spent doing that. This episode is brought to you by Strength Portal. You need a software platform that enables you to track workouts, deliver consistent high-quality client experiences, and scale your business. The problem is you're still using pen and paper or basic spreadsheets to run your business, which leads to inconsistent workout experiences and stifles your business growth, making you feel frustrated. Strength Portal have worked closely with the HIIT industry to create a software platform to manage and scale your niche business. Strength Portal is used by multiple businesses in the high-intensity strength training community, namely Discover Strength, Smart Strength Austin, MedX Precision Fitness, and more. To help support the podcast, go to strengthportal.com/high-intensity business and sign up for your ideal package now. That's strengthportal.com/high-intensity business. And now back to the episode. So just for listeners, if you didn't really catch what Gert was saying there about how to find great keywords for your business in terms of typing into Google what you think people might search, and then look at the automatic drop down that comes out with suggestions, and then look at related searches and the Q&A section. Rewind and listen to Gert say that again, because that is gold right there. And I didn't realize all of that. So that's something I just wanted to highlight. Okay, so let's assume we found a handful of keywords. I'm a big fan of, as I'm sure you are, Gert, of the 80-20 principle, really being calculated with our time, making sure that the things we're focused on are the highest impact. So I suppose you don't want to overdo it. Maybe just grab, 10 ideal keyword, long tail keywords or something like that to start with, and then maybe just focus on a few of those. Is that a correct way to go about this? And then what would be the next step once you've identified those keywords?
So definitely 80-20 is probably the reason why most of our clients are with us, because they say, look, I could be doing 200 things. Give me the 4 things I should be doing in the next couple of weeks. And we do this every couple of weeks. So really, if you have the keywords identified, absolutely list the ones where you expect the best return. And this is a little bit hard at the beginning. You really actually Either you run ads specifically on Google, which gives you a little bit of a quicker feedback if this might attract the right audience. So sometimes it makes sense to run some Google ads if you want and can get some testing going. Otherwise, really pick the keywords where you expect people will be the closest to an ideal client of yours. And then put one of those into Google and see what comes up. And this is probably the step. Not even SEO agencies do this really very often. As I've seen, the most logical step if you want to rank on Google is that you check out what it is that actually ranks right now. Can you produce something similar? And this happens for, especially I noticed from the personal trainer space, sometimes it's only directories that rank. So personal training directories and those aggregator sites, etc., where every personal trainer has their profile and their rating, and and lead generators and things like those. If you're not such a type of website, you might need to search for a different search query. Google is very big on what they call search intent, which means why did somebody type in this search, and what do they expect? So the same way as if I type in Adidas running shoes, what do I have in mind? I don't have in mind a 5,000 words article that tells me the history of Adidas and why their running shoes are much better than Nike. I have in mind an online store. So this is why Google is going to rank online stores. In the same way, if I see for a search query I've selected, I see only directories or lead generators come up, maybe it might be a good idea to get in touch with them and get my listing there because they already own this space. And maybe I can get promoted on them and leverage their platforms, but then find a different search query where it's actual websites coming up. And then I have a chance to actually also rank with mine.
This is gold. This is so good. Let me just summarize some of that. So you're looking at what ranks right now. In a lot of cases, it's directories as based on search intent, which makes a lot of sense. So it makes sense, as you say, if you find some directories that feature maybe a list of the best personal training businesses arbitrarily listed on a website, then get in touch with them and get yourself listed on there like ASAP, Absolutely. Right? Especially if it's like based on search terms that you think are popular for you on page one. And it got me thinking, we, as I was saying to you before we got recording, we use a service called bark.com. And there's very mixed reviews on this, even across industries, but even in personal training. Some people think it's rubbish and the leads are really bad. It's kind of like Craigslist for personal training, people publishing their interest and their criteria. But we've had massive success from it. We've generated a really good return, which I'm going to be doing some separate content on at some point. I've already done some inside Hit Business Membership. Mm-hmm. And the reason I bring up Bark is because they are a directory of personal training businesses. Mm-hmm. And so when you publish on Bark your profile, and then we pay for something called Elite Pro, which increases our exposure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And gives us a number of other perks. It means that we rank really well in Google through them. So we don't necessarily rank well for Google because we're a relatively new personal training business. There's lots of well-established personal training businesses in Galway that rank for personal training Galway. Yep. But because we're on Bark and because we invest a lot and because we've got a really good profile on Bark, we've just noticed that results in us having paid top ranking on Google, which is really handy. So it's like another way of getting to a similar endpoint. Yeah, absolutely.
People very often have a very narrow focus. If you think of a shopping center, why is somebody opening a store in a shopping center? Because the shopping center already has the audience. And you just open up your store and you know that a few hundred people or a few thousand people every day are going to pass in front of your store. And then it's up to you to have a catchy shopping window here and a catchy billboard, etc., and bring people into your store, right? But the same way, if you know where is the attention for people searching for a personal trainer in Chicago, and you say, okay, there are 5 directories, there are a few websites coming up, and you can go after them, but there are also 5 directories coming up. It does pay off to make sure that on those directories you have a featured listing. Make sure you're one of the first, and at least try this for 3 to 6 months. See if this works for you. And then you can still continue. I've seen cases, I tried this myself here in Madrid in Spain at some point with my agency a few years ago, and it didn't really lead to quality leads, and we just dropped it again, and it's fine. Okay. But ultimately, if somebody has the attention, I would definitely see how I can leverage it.
Yeah, that seems like a really, really good idea. All right. So when you say, so just backtracking a little bit here, you're looking at, you're searching the terms that you think are, good keywords to start with. You're looking at what's ranking right now, and then you're clicking through it. A lot of the cases in our space, what's that going to be? Is that going to be an article, right? Like a blog post of some kind related to someone's interest? Are you saying look at that and look on how you can improve on that and then produce something similar? Is that where you're going with this?
You definitely want to just maybe take a step back and look at the overall structure of this article. What is it talking about? What kind of vocabulary comes up? What kind of questions, subheadlines, etc. comes up? Is this only articles that have a video embedded, or do they have like infographics, illustrations, etc.? What's the kind of article, if you would have to generalize it? What kind of article seems to be the one Google is looking for? And then when you produce your version, you can usually not go completely in a different direction, because those results sit there on top because Google has figured out that users react really well to them. It's all about making search users happy. And if Google has figured out that this result makes search users happy, it's just like a guideline on what kind of content you should produce. So here it's not anymore about being different. And so, okay, everybody has an infographic and 5 paragraphs, etc. I'm just going to put 2 sentences and a nice image of my cell phone. It's not going to work. We need to fit in with our approach. We don't want to copy things, but we want to copy the overall skeleton of those articles, the overall characteristics, and make sure that at least we are at their level. And then if we find something that we can add as added value, like your lead magnet, for example, about for the strength training businesses, for example, this is an added value people might appreciate and send you Google better user signals than if they didn't have it.
Right. Okay. I'm just thinking, is because I don't just want, I guess, my listeners to run off and start writing articles straight away if that's not always the best thing. When we're doing this keyword research and we're coming up with these keywords, and we're looking at what ranks now. What else are we going to see? Do you think? Are we going to see? So you mentioned their directories, right? We talked about blog posts. If someone's searching, like you talked about intent, right? So someone's searching personal training Galway, personal trainer Galway. They're not necessarily looking for an article that's going to solve their problem, right? They're looking to have their problem solved by making contact. Mm-hmm. Like maybe downloading a lead magnet, which for those listening, if they don't know that terminology, that just means like a free PDF or some kind of free value that they can get right away that maybe solves their problem. But in a lot of cases, they're just going to see that telephone number or probably more likely, see an online scheduler and make an appointment, right? Mm-hmm. So what happens if, let's say we look at page 1 of Google, we see the top listings for a keyword. A lot of those top organic listings just take us straight to the scheduler or the homepage for our competition. How are we going to compete with that?
Absolutely important insight. So if it's very often we see this happen when the homepages rank, and this also means that your best chance to rank is probably with your own homepage. Mm-hmm. So you want to compare your homepage with the top ranking homepages. Do they do something different? Do they have like a text section somewhere that gives some additional context? What can you do in order to correspond more to what seems to be where it's at? If it's articles ranking, you want to do an article. So this is like the main differentiation there already. Okay, so you want to really, like I say, get like the summary, the common denominator of what Google is looking for, and try to emulate it as much as possible. And there are definitely cases where the homepage is ranking. More often than not, we see service pages ranking for those very specific queries, right? Service, a specific service on your website that says personal training in Galway.
Okay.
Right. So Google just tries to find, they already know if you have the Google My Business listing, you have some content on your website, you have your address, you obviously want to make really clear, and we didn't talk about this, on your website, where you are located with a map, with all references, with references everywhere where exactly you're located. We are next to this public school, we are close to the drugstore, etc. Some references people would probably recognize, but also Google is going to connect the dots. The way I explain this usually is, This is like the dot to dot game my children play, where they connect dot number 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and then it's a cat or a dog or a car. This is what we do for Google. We connect all the dots so they can really figure out where you're located and what you're offering. And this is where it's really important to make sure that the website communicates this well.
Okay. All right. So that's interesting. That makes a lot of sense. So rather than go to your homepage, a lot of times it's going to go to your services page, because that's where you've probably got more copy about specific services that people are searching for. Not wanting to get into this too much because I want to stay a little bit higher level, but I was just thinking about, people listening to this thinking, okay, so I am competing with the homepages of some other fitness businesses, and I need to provide a better homepage to rank for those keywords. I like the story brand approach for writing the copy and then making the structure for the homepage. Are you a fan of that as a framework or not? If not, what else do you recommend?
Well, it depends on your goal, right? For definitely story framework absolutely works in a lot of different cases. When we see it through the SEO lens, what we see is that people want instant confirmation they're at the right place, right? So if I type in personal training in Galway and you start picking me up with your hero's journey, it's going to be really difficult to maintain my attention, because first of all, I'm on my phone. I'm probably on the run or just have a few minutes before, because I'm really busy. I want to find someone who can help me reach my fitness goals next year. I don't have the time to go through an entire story. I know this is going to cost more than an average gym because it's a dedicated service or a specific personalized service. I know all these things. You don't need to pick me up and walk me through and tell me why my guide, who is the personal trainer, is going to be the best way to get my results and with their secret sauce. It's not necessary, right? So very often we expect too much. Somebody at the bottom of the funnel, and I repeat this, at the bottom of the funnel where people really try to make a decision, find a potential provider, they already tick a lot of boxes that the story brand approach would probably try to tick further up the funnel, right? If I type in is personal training for me, and then you walk me through an example on how somebody was struggling and they did this on their own and they went to a general gym and then they did this on their own with a fitness app and everything didn't work. And then they figured out that Lawrence has a really good service and that actually it was strength training that they were missing, and now they are reaching their goals. They maintain it. They had some struggle, but they still continue pushing, and then everything is fine. Cool. Personal training is what it is. Let's now find a potential provider. But if I'm already looking for someone in my area, and just by people adding this city, we know they're ready. Just by adding a city, we know in SEO they are ready to take action. Don't mess with them. Say, look, you're looking for personal training in Galway. This is the best personal trainer in Galway. Why? Now I explain why, who backs them up, what are the reviews, what is the structure, where can I sign up for a demo training or an evaluation or a fitness evaluation or what it is, and push them forward.
Got it. So in a nutshell, do you agree with this then? So strong call to action at the top, right? Probably if you've got a story brand design or similar, bring to the top the reviews, bring the stuff that's really relevant to them right now, right to the top of that homepage, right? So you don't have to scroll down for the really relevant stuff. And clarity is king, I guess. It's just making it as clear as possible for them to know how to take action and move forward and schedule that workout.
Absolutely. And I think content design is an important term here. So content design really meaning, how do I make sure people continue reading? It does matter what comes first and what goes last. It's not that it's on the page, because 80% of your people are not going to scroll all the way down. You want to earn the right to show them another sentence with each sentence, because it confirms that they are on the right track. Does this make sense?
It does.
If I read the first line, it's not relevant. I read the second line, it's not relevant, because I'm starting to build my story or just trying to put up some suspense or whatever the reasons might be. I'm losing people. But if the first sentence confirms this is personal training in Galway, second one is maybe a question, right? Are you looking for a personal trainer in your area? Right? Third sentence, This is one of the best. Have you ever considered strengthening? I don't know. I'm not a copywriter, but you get the point.
Sure.
It's like every line needs to engage the user enough to be sure that the next line is going to have value for them in their particular situation, not for every fitness, every gym visitor or client, but for them in particular.
Yeah.
And then they're going to stay on your page. If they don't feel there's enough value, what are they going to do? They're on their phone, swipe back, next result. And if you're Google and you get a lot of people who click on a search result, then swipe back and click on a different one, what's the message you're getting? You get that the first result obviously wasn't what they expected. So if I'm Google and I want to provide a good user experience, I'm going to demote their ranking.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so we really want to focus on this experience. You mentioned Greg Mireles. I had a really good podcast on with him myself at the beginning when we launched. And he was like, it's microseconds. I don't remember the figure. It's microseconds where we decide if we like this page or not. We don't even start reading. We just say, okay, the surrounding. And for example, an image from something local people are going to recognize is immediately going to resonate with them. If this is the main square of your town, this is going to resonate much more than a generic Shutterstock image of someone working out.
Yeah.
If you can get someone working out on the local main square, it would be heaven, then, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? But you really want to connect this local level is just so important because people are going to feel emotions before they start reading.
Yeah. Great point. Great point. So, all right. So where are we then? So you talked about step 4, the website, making sure that you've got, map on there, reference to location, things that are nearby to help people find it. Is that through copy you're talking about there so that Google can crawl out and see that you're really giving, good directional guidance to the user, basically?
Yeah, just think how can you make yourself relevant. If you do this in person, you talk to somebody on the phone and they say, Galway, where's Galway? And then you would immediately mention some authority, buildings, institutions, whatever, that are relevant here. Because you would connect it for this person on the phone with something they already know. We try to do this in content as well in local SEO. We connected with the local school. I encourage people to collaborate with local institutions, with the local town hall. Maybe there is a free magazine that's being published in this area where you can contribute with some fitness information and they are going to link back. Just make sure that you get some anchors in this area and other people that Google knows are from this area actually connect with your website, link to your website in a context that's locally and topically relevant.
Because now we're talking about page rank, right? So if you're connected to local businesses, if local businesses provide links to your website, then you're going to rank better on Google. That's the same as page rank. Is that correct?
Page rank was the concept Google really got big with because they just said, look, a link is like a vote of confidence, and somebody linking to you who has authority themselves is kind of endorsing you. They're vouching for you. Right? It's like if I ask you who's the best personal trainer in Galway and you have 3 people in mind, this is going to have more value than if you say it because you know what you're talking about in this industry, as if I ask a random person in the street. But it's essentially a vote of confidence. So if you get locally relevant people endorsing you, or you have a collaboration with a local sports store, for example, and when they on their social media, on their ads, they refer to you, you sponsor an event or something like that. There are a lot of possibilities where you can just get endorsed and be more locally relevant than others. This would actually connect a lot of dots already. And then on your website, you definitely want to make sure that every page, every piece of content has this local relevance. I wouldn't publish a random article about strength training without trying to find a way to connect it to something locally. So Google, whenever they look at the content, say this is absolutely relevant here. This is not a generic fitness article.
How do you go about that? Like maybe we can come up with an example for the listeners. How would you make, if you've got an article, let's say on the importance of supervision, right? So there's good science to support that. You train with better intensity and you get better results when you train by an individual, right? By an expert. And let's say you did an article on that because that made sense when you did your keyword research. How would you then tie that back to local in the article?
Different ways. One could be a testimonial of somebody from a local business, for example. Another one could be a story approach. Here we are working out with this person from the local school in Galway, this and this teacher, maybe they're happy to even share the story or share an image or a testimonial about this. Or you refer to yourself and say, look, we really like to do workouts in the park, such and such, near such and such street, etc. You can always tie in some sort of local relevance.
Okay.
Right. And then also say, okay, in this particular example, it's probably not something people would specifically search for. They would just maybe search for, does it make sense to have a trainer or personal trainer versus training by yourself or something like this would probably be a search intent. And then you would say, okay, the personal trainer here in this city, we usually train here and there and blah, 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 and connect you to some buildings, some authorities, maybe the running path you usually choose to train the racetrack where you do your running exercises and things like those, or maybe a local sports store. There are a lot of ways how you can tie this in. If you just think about it a little bit, think through the article you're writing, and okay, what would come in naturally? Right? It does absolutely not make sense to make it generic for a local business.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so what's next, or is that the main steps of the process, or is there more to it in your eyes?
I think there are definitely more technical things that we usually help people with, which is like what's called structured data, schema.org codes, these kinds of things. And definitely there's more on the technical side of things. But what I really would just be a little bit more open to, maybe to opportunities, is how can you attract links from other relevant businesses in your site. I'm working with a dentist, for example, and we encourage them to do like a dental exam in schools, because then the school is going to publish on their blog that they had such and such dentist and they examined their children's teeth, their students' teeth, and this is the result. And overall, every third student has an issue, and they were willing to then make a closer examination in their practice at such and such street, etc. So you get like a local authority that's definitely trusted, because they themselves have really good links pointing from the authorities directly, political authority sites, government authority sites. You have a locally respected authority endorsing you. It doesn't get much better than that. But very often, the only thing it takes is to be a little bit open to opportunities. I've been approached multiple times to contribute to other blogs, other articles, other magazines, etc. When we did fitness marketing, I contributed to a German fitness magazine, talking about marketing for the fitness industry, for example, right? We need to be open for these kinds of opportunities. And so, okay, it's not going to cost anything, but I need to dedicate half an hour, 2 hours, maybe a month to this. But I'm going to have another local source endorsing me. I'm going to get in front of people as an expert. Works for my positioning, and it's going to definitely work for my site, for my brand as a local institution when it comes to the personal training space.
So you just give me a ton of ideas quickly to really compound these efforts. So, for example, if you're doing a corporate speaking gig, which is quite typical in aerospace, to get the opportunity to go in and speak to members of staff in a business and give them advice on obviously how to achieve their fitness goals, and then obviously tail end it with probably a call to action to inquire for your service. But I'm thinking one way you can make this even more effective is by giving the business owner, if it's a small business, or HR team, content ahead so that they can share it on their website and on their social media platforms and other places. And doing so, is that ultimately going to, and obviously it's going to link back to your website, is that going to help with what we're talking about here? Like even if it's like a post on Facebook and that kind of thing?
Usually social media is pretty much ignored as a link source by Google, right? It doesn't mean it doesn't help, because it's attracting the right audience, it's getting in front of the right people probably, but not for SEO purposes. So we see people putting links everywhere in every single social media profile, and Google is just now they're going to ignore this anyway. So it doesn't matter. Just yesterday or the day before, they again reiterated that links from YouTube are not helping rankings, at least not directly. So it's not something I would do for ranking purposes, but you can certainly frame such an event in a way that makes sense. Imagine you have this speaking gig. You can inform like the local press. You can put it in contributions. Maybe you're contributing to the local town hall's blog. and talk about a healthy lifestyle on a regular basis. And
Chamber of Commerce would be another.
Chamber of Commerce, exactly. There you go. Yeah. Maybe you have a workshop on a regular basis, like a healthy breakfast or something like this you do for business people in your town. Maybe they then can do something, or you can offer to give them some health advice for their workers, and on their blog publish every month or every 2 months, like health advice they can share then, right? So there are definitely ways to make this worthwhile, and we usually do like advise people how to leverage what they actually have. Very often we have a good network, we're just not leveraging it for the things we actually want to achieve right now. So we think SEO is only Google and nothing else, but there are a lot of things to this, and every single step is not only going to help Google, your Google ranking, but also be another platform where you're presented as the expert, which is not something I would underestimate.
Okay, awesome. This has been fantastic. I just want to very quickly summarize some of the things we talked about, and obviously I encourage the listeners to go back and take notes and actually form their own plan, and maybe start with just one main action to try and improve your SEO to make it simple. So number one, we talked about optimizing the Google business profile first. Then number two, we talked about setting up a website. Obviously, you can use services like Wix to produce a website very cheaply. That looks pretty great if you're certainly on the startup side of things. Then it's about looking at the keyword research and looking at those terms that people are searching for. And one way to do that is to actually use Google and actually look at the suggestions and the related searches and Q&A to help inform the keywords you should be focused on. Then it's simply looking at putting those keywords in and looking at what comes up, what ranks now, what is it directories that you can submit a listing to? Is it something like bark.com, which we spoke about? Is it articles that come up that you can not replicate, but perhaps produce something similar and rank well for as well? And then lastly, it's just making sure that your website is set up with the appropriate things in place that really speak local, right? So have, a map on the website, Google Map integration, references to location, nearby things. So I guess this 3 and 4 are kind of blurred together here, which I've created these steps myself. And then I guess it's about really working on the page rank and trying to make sure that you are featured on the websites of local authorities, local businesses in your area, so that Google understands that you are prominent in your local area, so that when people do search it, that you're going to more likely to be ranked higher organically. So is that a fair summary? Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Gert, before we just finally wrap up here?
I think this is an excellent summary. Really, what I try to really smash into everybody's head here is to focus the resource. You're not going to spend 20 hours a week on this, right? You're going to have very limited resources. So whatever you do, be it on social media, be it on content, on the content side of things, you want to make it ultra relevant for your local audience. Because by the time you get people come to your profile and like you and to you, give you views, etc., that are from a different state or a different city, they are never going to be clients of yours. And this is great for the ego very often, and we see everybody's ego driven. But what we need to really kind of change the switch there and say, okay, what is actually going to move my business? It's not me becoming a Wikipedia for all things fitness. It's me becoming the local authority. So when I ask a random person in the street about the personal training service in this town, in this city, they are going to refer to me because they just know I'm the authority here.
Got it. Awesome. And one other thing before we, I guess, wrap up here is Gert is being incredibly generous and offering all of you guys, our listeners, a free quick audit, normally valued at $100. And you can go and take advantage of that, which is over at seoleverage.com/quick-audit. We'll link it from the post as well over at episode 396. This is especially for you guys, the audience, so you can get an assessment and a consulting session with Gert on your website for free, which is a great opportunity. So Gert, I really appreciate you doing that. That's really generous of you. So again, that's seoleverage.com/quick-audit. Gert, any other final thoughts? So I thought you wrapped up pretty well there. Is there anything else you want to add before we close off here?
I think that's great. In order to get the freebie here, if you just want to reach out, I'm going to also send you, Lawrence, a coupon code so your audience can grab this from your website if you want.
Okay.
And just make sure that this audit is directly free, or just send me an email, say you come through this podcast, and we're going to make sure you get this free of charge here. The main goal of this is really, we do this all the time. People pay $100 for this. We do several of them every single week. The goal here really is to have an action plan, to say, okay, this is where I am, this is where I want to be, what is it that's necessary, and then figure out an action plan and say, okay, what is one step I can take today in order to get closer to this goal, and how can we actually help if necessary, or if it makes sense, on this path in order to get there faster. It's very much, we frame our service very much like a personal training. I very often tell clients this is like a personal training for a business owner. On SEO, or just have guidance, evaluations, and then line up the steps that are necessary. Like your clients probably have their fitness goals and draw a roadmap on how this should actually work. So there's no commitment at all. I just want to have a conversation. I love learning how people operate and just show what SEO can actually do.
Yeah, and you've done this for me with High Intensity Business, which was very valuable and very eye-opening. So I can vouch for the value that you provide with that. And for everyone listening, make sure you're subscribed on your favorite podcast platform. If you're not already, just search High Intensity Business. Subscribe on YouTube as well, youtube.com/High Intensity Business. And if you would like a presentation to help you get more clients, please go to highintensitybusiness.com/free to download a science-based proven presentation based on the anti-aging effects of strength training, which one of my listeners kindly contributed. And to help you convert and retain more clients, you can go and get that again over at highintensitybusiness.com/free. And to find the blog post for this episode, please go to highintensitybusiness.com, search for episode 396. And until next time, thank you very much for listening. This episode is brought to you by Strength Portal. You need a single software platform that enables your trainers to deliver consistent, high-quality workouts, track client progress, and scale your business. The problem is you're still using pen and paper or basic spreadsheets to run your business, which leads to poor client experiences, inaccurate tracking, and prevents you from growing your business, making you feel frustrated. Strength Portal understand your challenge and have worked closely with the HIIT industry to create a software platform to manage and scale your niche business. You can integrate with MindBody, manage a standardized exercise and workout library for your team, track workouts effectively, and produce client reports at the click of a button. Strength Portal is used by multiple businesses in the high-intensity strength training community, namely Discover Strength, Smart Strength Austin, Medix Precision Fitness, and more. Starting with Strength Portal is super simple. Number 1, sign up for the best package for your business. Number 2, let Strength Portal take the load off and help onboard your business onto the platform. And number 3, start delivering consistent workout experiences and scale your business to the next level. To help support the podcast, please go to strengthportal.com/high intensity business and sign up now, so you can stop feeling frustrated about your business and start to scale your business to its true potential. Go to strengthportal.com/high intensity business.